position. Going to be a big weekend. Athens, Georgia, Arkansas hadn't been in a game like this in quite some time. Top 10 matchup. It's been a decade since Arkansas has been in this position. Ranked number 8 in the country. They're playing the number 2 team in the country. Haven't won a road game in a top 10 matchup involving both teams since 1964. Been in these games, but hadn't won one of these since Hatfield returned the punt at Texas. So been a while. Tom Murphy joins us now. Tom, a lot of different ways to see this game. I see it with defense. You look at Arkansas, they have not given up a point in the first quarter. Arkansas scored 34, their opponents none. You look at Georgia, they've only given up 6 in the first quarter, 0 in the second and third quarter, 17 in the fourth. Georgia's defense may be the best in the country. On paper, Tom, this game should be a low-scoring slobber knocker. Is that how it unfolds, or are we all going to get surprised when it becomes a shootout?
Well, obviously, I don't know the exact answer to that, but I could tell you there are things that make you say, yeah, this is trending toward a lower-scoring game, much like the Texas A&M game last week. But I just want you guys I want to take 1 second for the listeners to understand something. What Sam Pittman has done, he's got 14 games as a head coach. He hired a wonderful staff. They're excellent. I wrote about it today, what both coordinators are doing. To think that you took a team that had lost 19 consecutive SEC games and 20 against Georgia last year and is where they are now, a top 10 program. It is phenomenal. That's why they're like the team of the country, the biggest surprise in all of football.
Yeah. And you don't do this without the veteran players. I mean, that's been talked about and written about, but probably can't be more of a central piece of the conversation that it deserves to be, because if you don't have Grant Morgan come back, if you don't have Bumper Pool, if you don't have these key players that Myron Cunningham, if you don't have these key players, Hayden Henry, you just keep going down a list of senior players, veteran players that wanted another year to experience what Sam Pittman was building, wanted to be part of the story of building this, Tom. Yeah. I mean, without these veteran players, I think we all agree a 4-0 start and a top 10 rankings not in the cards this year.
Oh, there's no question about it. And if you flip the script and say, oh, it's not Sam Pittman here, some other coach, it's Chad Morris, I don't think they would have decided to do it. They decided to do it because they saw what the culture was like, and they thought, we're going to start winning next year. And to hear Grant Morgan post-game Saturday say, this is why I came back, to hear Davion Warren last night on radio saying, this is why we decided to do this, it's heartwarming if you're a Razorback fan, because you've been through such a valley, such a desert, and here they are now playing a top 10 game with game day there. It's a tribute to the work and the coaching staff and the players.
Tom, Georgia's opponents have only rushed the ball for less than 70 yards a game. That's the key for Arkansas, is to being able to run the football, starting with their quarterback, kind of being that fifth running back. How does Arkansas have success on the ground against Georgia's defense?
Well, that's a great question. You got to get some standoffs at least on the O-line. You got to be able to perhaps you have some misdirection in this game. You have to be able to give them the threat that you can throw over the top of them if they're coming at you. Because what Georgia does is relentlessly comes after you. Just like Arkansas, they're shooting gaps. I saw a little David Pollock clip just before I came on with you guys, and how he's talking about the Arkansas defense is just like, you haven't eaten for 3 days, and I'm going to throw you out on the field, go eat. And I thought that was so true of what the Razorbacks are doing. You got to have the quarterback run threat for sure, and so hopefully KJ is agile enough and can move. And you got to do some stuff where you throw screens out on the flanks. You got to get your backs involved in the passing game. Like I told y'all last week, that A.J. Green play where you just outflank them. And Trey Knox did a great job of just stepping in the way of the linebacker for a moment. And that one step of hesitation caused him to try to make a swipe arm tackle, and Green was gone. And, of course, had a great spin move in the speed. And thanks to the Aaron Hansford push, he went to the end zone. But, it's going to be so difficult. And, the same applies to Georgia. They want to run the ball, too. And I guess whoever probably can establish their run game the best would have the better chance to win.
Yeah, they lean on Zamir White a lot, but he's averaging 51 a game. This is they've been able to run some different guys through there. And last week, you get skewed with some of their numbers. A, because they scored 62 playing Vanderbilt last week, but B, because they didn't play a lot of their frontline guys a lot last week. But some of their numbers are a little bit skewed just because of the types of games they've had. But we had David Pollack with us last hour. He joined us from his home in Athens for a conversation last hour. And we were talking a little bit about the familiarity between the staffs because Sam Pittman worked there for 4 years. They know each other well, but there's a healthy respect, and you can sense it through the comments that both Kirby and that Sam have made during this week. But there's also a familiarity, and I think that's also an interesting angle on this game, Tom, is the familiarity between these staffs. I think Sam has a good feel of what he's getting his team into this week.
Oh, yeah, he for sure does. And you can see these guys, no matter what the outcome, if they happen to meet at some convention in the offseason of, sharing stories and probably some laughs over what's happening with their program. I thought there was an interesting moment on Sam's Zoom yesterday, or it could have been on the SEC teleconference, where someone asked him about knowing Dan Lanning so well and that text exchange they had over the weekend about the 11-man blitz. And he goes like, they know that we know what they're doing. And so if they know that we know, and, one of those verbal conundrum things. Yeah. So it's a big test match, and I think it's just going to be fun to see who can pick up the others stunting and blitzing the best, who can hit a downfield shot, because that's Arkansas is really, really eating in the last couple of games with some downfield shot. Well, really all year with Tyson Morris and then Burks in the A&M game. So it's just so fun to be involved in a game that so many people are paying attention to and has repercussions. I mean, Georgia expects to win it and keep on marching toward the SEC East title and the SEC championship game and a playoff berth. But what if Arkansas wins this? I mean, then the dialogue is, can they challenge Alabama? So it's just so much riding on this game.
Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, with us here on a Thursday morning on the Morning Rush. Here's the difference I see, Tom, is it feels like, and I guess we won't know till Saturday, but it feels like you have a team that actually believes they're going to Georgia to win a football game, the way they've talked, the way they carry themselves. In the past, you'd play Bama, you'd play Georgia, you'd even play some of the mid-level competition in this conference, and there was little reason to really believe they were convicted that they could go win these football games. That's the big difference Sam Pittman has made. A, you're physical, but B, you're confident. It feels like this is a confident coaching staff leading a confident group of men going to Athens.
There's no question. That's where it all started. The belief that you're good football players. We're going to put you in good positions. We're going to make good game plans and good adjustments on game day. You guys just go out and execute. We're going to have a chance to win. And the thing is, this has started since game one last year against this very team, Georgia, when they played a first half that had everybody in the nation going, what? This is a team that lost 19 straight games. Mm-hmm. Georgia's a national title contender, and the score is 7-5 at halftime.
And a team that should have ended up 5-5 last year, but ended up 3-7, and people still kind of looked at last year's record and overlooked them this year. All right, I want to come back to keys to the game and what you think are the most important 2 or 3 things for this Saturday's game. But let's put football on pause for just a second, because the biggest story of the day yesterday happens to be a basketball headline in the midst of football season. And it's rare that happens in our state, but there's no question Nick Smith's commitment, a 5-star in our state, number 6 player in the country by some estimates, committing to this program is a headline we cannot ignore this morning. Tom, there's no question that the rising tide on this campus with football and with basketball seems to be lifting all the boats. And another piece of evidence yesterday is one of the top players, or the top player in our state, commits to Eric Musselman's program. What were your thoughts last night as the news spread around the state that Nick Smith's going to be a Razorback?
I like the way you phrased it. The rising tide lifts all the boats, and that's the way it feels. I mean, the season Arkansas had last year with 9 SEC titles and a 10th with the baseball postseason, just everybody's pretty giddy about winning. Mm-hmm. And Eric Musselman has shown, and his staff, that they can recruit their butts off. And if you don't get an in-state 5-star, then it's a big disappointment, and that has happened in the past. And so to get him, you feel like this kid believes in what we're doing, and we're just going to keep on rolling. And it just feels like there's a ton of momentum. Virtually every sport. I mean, women's golf is number one right now. Brooke Matthews is on fire. I mean, that young lady from Rogers has a chance to win it all.
Yeah. Tell me why. I mean, based on what they've got with the other in-state players that are there that will be sophomores, with Devo and Jalen Williams and KK back, tell me why with that, and then what you're building for the future and the way that Muss has used the transfer portal. Tell me why this isn't a Final Four program. Tell me why this isn't a program that can't go toe-to-toe with Kentucky and Alabama and the others to win the SEC.
Well, that's a great question. And I don't see why they couldn't, because we know that they're a great game planning staff and an in-game adjustment staff. They can kind of change up what they want to do inside a game as well as anybody. But the one thing, they've got to find how to push the right buttons with this roster. When you have this many guys who feel like they're going to contribute, what do you do with the guy who gets 7 minutes a game? How do you keep him going? How do you keep him from causing a problem in the locker room with complaining and things like that? And they did a pretty good job with that last year, and that's what's going to be fascinating. So many new faces, different numbers, and you look out, okay, you remember who's who, and see how they all mesh together. And I'm confident because we don't have any input or data that says that they're going to struggle to do that. We think that they can put it together and become a contender again in the SEC.
Yeah, the architect of all of this, Hunter Yurachek, is going to be with us tomorrow morning at 8:00, and we'll discuss a lot of this. But I'm amazed at the selections he's made and just how he's seemingly, for the first time, got all these head coaches to be more friendly, publicly friendly. I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's just because of social media and we have more access to see it. But I don't remember an era in my lifetime where you had so many head coaches spending so much time together and it being so public.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And they have this coaches thread where they all compliment each other and send positive vibes.
It's synergy. There's more synergy than there's ever been before between head coaches. No
question about it. Who would have thought hey, Dave Van Horn, hey, Eric Musselman, could you join me on the sideline? And apparently Mike Neighbors will at the Auburn home game. And they like each other. They wish each other success. And, you got to give Hunter Yurachek some credit. Now, the purse strings are going to have to open up a little bit after this football season, right? For Sam and those the whole staff.
Well, and remember, Sam's contract includes, an extra $750 if he gets to 8 wins. But you're right, that deal needs to probably be looked at if he can get beyond that. But there are some kickers in there for him financially if he gets to that plateau. So let's get back to football. Go ahead.
Yeah, and there should be some kickers in that too, because they took a chance on Sam Pittman. He was the dark horse outside the box hire. It has panned out, and now you got to kind of reward him and the staff.
Now, he took a chance on Arkansas too. Now he took a major financial step up from being an O-line coach, but Arkansas was in a position where you were really rolling the dice to become the head coach at Arkansas. And so I'd also say Sam took a chance on Arkansas too in that equation. All right, let's talk about this game on Saturday. What in your estimate are the 2 or 3 big keys if Arkansas is going to have success between the hedges?
Yeah, you got to avoid a bunch of 3-and-outs in a row. So that means, move the chains, get in third and short, those kind of things. You got to stop Georgia's big plays because the crowd will go berserk. And if you feel like they're getting on top of you, sometimes it's hard to get them off. And, special teams, Arkansas has kind of steadied things, but Georgia, it's like many other teams in the SEC, like A&M, and there's many others who are just really solid, punting, all the return game and all that. Arkansas's got to hold its own and not allow any breakout plays in special teams. So there's a lot of things. I mean, you got to be so solid. You got to be a great tackling team. Sam Pittman said he told his team on Wednesday, we have to be the best tackling team we've been all year against these guys. So it's going to take a major effort to have a chance to beat the Bulldogs.
Yep, got to be good on first down. Can't put Kendall Briles in a box where he has to throw it, and everybody knows it. So got to be good on first down and open up that playbook a little bit more. Tom, it ought to be fun. We'll talk about it on Monday and get a full recap with you.
Outstanding. Everybody have a great weekend.
All right, Tom Murphy going to be headed back to the homeland for Tom as Arkansas heads down to Athens, Georgia.
We're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for another football season. As always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With the new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the #1 source for everything football. Head to your website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of these amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.